Across the world, many countries are facing growing levels of food insecurity. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted trade and exposed the fragility of food supply chains. Singapore, which imports over 90% of its food, is especially vulnerable. That's why it aims to produce 30% of its nutritional needs by 2030. To meet this demand, researchers at the National University of Singapore, or NUS, are innovating solutions to change the future of food. NUS is always abuzz with new ideas and innovations. Many of those tackling Singapore's food security challenges congregate at the NUS Agritech Centre, the university's newest innovation and incubation facility. Here, startups develop and commercialize cutting-edge technologies to improve farm yield, growth efficiency, and profitability. One such deep tech startup is Polybee. Founded in 2019 by 28-year-old Siddharth Jadov, Polybee is an NUS spin-off with a mission to enhance global food security.
One of Polybee's go-to markets is controlled environment agriculture, which in itself is a huge promise for urban food security. So that's exactly how we see ourselves contributing to Singapore's goals when it comes to its food security as well. We are equipping growers in Singapore with the tools that will allow them to not only grow more from less, but also grow a broader portfolio of crops without having to worry about natural pollination.
Polybee's innovation may be small, but it can play a big role by enabling autonomous pollination and yield forecasting.
Pollination, which has immense consequences on the quality and the quantity of yield of high-value produce like fruit and veg crops. Pollination leads to the formation of fruits and vegetables.
Farmers depend on successful pollination for their crops to grow abundantly. However, in land-scarce countries like Singapore, where vertical farms are becoming the norm, getting help from nature can be tricky.
Often natural pollinators are not as easily available. Even if they are available, we are seeing certain issues around their resilience to pesticides. That natural pollinators are not as effective in controlled environments. For instance, honeybees cannot navigate as well in a greenhouse.
Without bees, farmers must rely on manual pollination, which is inefficient and costly. Polybee's innovative solution eliminates these problems. By using artificial intelligence and robotics, its drones are efficient and precise.
This method is purpose-built for the major crops that are grown in indoor farming. So I'm talking about tomatoes, berries, pepper, chili, and eggplant. And all of these crops are all self-pollinating or self-fertile crops, wherein we vibrate the flowers at the right frequencies and as such dislodge the pollen grains and achieve the same goal, which is pollination.
Besides pollination, another drone uses computer vision to help farmers collect data from their crops.
We are able to measure how many fruits there are, how big they are, how much they weigh, all of it using 3D cameras. Growers can take more informed decisions based on the state of the plant to change the inputs and as such achieve maximum possible yield.
And another Polybee drone is a regular at Gardens by the Bay.
So what we are doing is deploying two of our technology pillars, computer vision and drones. So for instance, we're able to tell if the plants are stressed, if they're receiving enough water, if there are any leaks in the irrigation system. This increases the efficiency of operations.
Siddharth believes his deep tech venture would not have taken flight without NUS's support. Back in 2018, while researching drones as an associate scientist at Temasek Laboratories, his supervisors urged him to join the Lean Launchpad program. That set him on a new exciting path. He then went on to sign up for more programs by NUS Enterprise, the university's entrepreneurial arm.
There was always support along the way at every stage of turning an idea into a company. Now the question is, what do we sign up for? And I think that's quite unique, where someone who is just a researcher in a lab could even think of starting a company in such a short time and get not just encouragement and not just mentoring, but also financial support and support in venture building as well.
Polybee's mission to help farmers grow more with less motivates staff like Yo Tse Wah to keep innovating. This NUS alumnus is responsible for designing and building Polybee's hydroponic system.
Although our technology is in its early stages, it is definitely a stepping stone in enhancing food security locally in Singapore as well as globally. So as Singapore moves towards a goal of ensuring 30% self-reliance by 2030, there will be more vertical farms, and that's where we come in to provide this meaningful service for them to produce more crops to feed the population in Singapore.
Polybee has big plans for its drones to go far. The micro drones have already made their way to farms in Australia and the United Kingdom. Soon, they'll get busier than ever.
We would also like to expand into new types of crops, such as pepper and eggplant, and also cucumbers for plant measurements. We are quite confident that we will achieve our vision of improving yield all across the world.
While Polybee develops drone technology to improve crop yields, these researchers are using genome editing to grow bigger and better vegetables. According to the United Nations, the global population is expected to hit 10 billion people by 2050. This means farmers will need to produce at least 50% more food in the next 30 years. And that will be immensely challenging.
Because of urbanization and climate change, we actually have less land to grow more food to meet this demand. So I would think that in terms of food production, this is the greatest challenge we are facing.
Professor Yi Hao and his team of researchers at NUS's Department of Biological Sciences are working on a potential solution. Their research involves a new gene editing technology called CRISPR-Cas9, or CRISPR for short. They are using CRISPR to genetically edit the code of green leafy vegetables.
The gene editing approach using CRISPR-Cas9 is able to create novel food crops with beneficial agronomic traits, such as high yields, high levels of nutrients, and also resistance to different types of stress. How is the sequencing result?
Although the technology is highly advanced, the concept is simple.
You are having a scissor in your hand. You can easily cut the nucleic acid sequence in any places you want to modify. For example, if you want to achieve high levels of yield, you can particularly modify the gene which is responsible for the yield. Gene editing approach has two key features which are beneficial to human beings. It would be precision and speed.
Professor Yu works hand in hand with Dr. Norman Teo, who is using CRISPR to modify genes to delay the reproduction phase.
Well, you can see the transform one, right?
By slowing down the flowering process, the plant's energy and nutrients will be redirected to generate bigger leaves. Seedlings like these, grown using CRISPR, can produce bigger leaves faster.
So these are the species we use for sequencing.
So we have 128 species now. So the plants generated from this method is no different from what we are eating in the supermarket. What we are doing now is to generate 1 to 2 varieties per year, and we are actually testing out those varieties, whether they will do well in our urban farming setting.
For leafy vegetables, certainly we are consuming their leaves, so we are modifying the genes which are responsible for leaf traits, such as whether they can grow into big biomass in a short period of time, or whether the leaf can contain high levels of nutrients, such as antioxidant components.
Beyond Singaporeans' favorite greens, the researchers are also editing the genes of other food crops, such as rice, to pack in more proteins and carbohydrates. Modifying the genes of food crops could also improve the productivity of indoor farms.
At the current stage, we need to import almost all the seeds from overseas. And all these seeds, they are bred in the field conditions. So they are kept for the environment to naturally exposed to the air, to the different open conditions. In urban farming conditions, we have very well-controlled environments. So it's very important for us to create seeds which can be used for our urban farming settings. Our long-term goal is eventually we provide seeds to urban farmers in the region and also in the world.
Professor Yu and his team are also collaborating with the Agency for Science, Technology and Research to investigate the effects of LED light on vegetable growth.
So our urban farmers are facing a lot of challenges. The running cost is very high. One of the key reasons is energy consumption. So at the current stage, most of farmers, they use classical lighting recipes to grow crops. Many of the crops grow on the white light, but in fact, different wavelengths have different effects on plant growth.
Their team is one of the first in the world to combine LED technology and automated phenotyping to research on leafy vegetables. Plant phenotyping, which is a detailed assessment of a plant's traits, is performed using high-tech equipment like this 3D laser scanner.
The light is actually triggering some group response.
With the data collected, the researchers can determine the optimal light wavelength for each stage of a plant's growth.
The far-red light can actually increase the biomass by 10 to 20% in some leafy vegetables varieties such as kailan and caising. In some lettuce variety, the application of blue lights can increase the anthocyanin level and indirectly increase the antioxidants level, where it is healthier to eat.
We hope we will eventually deliver this system to urban farmers to grow each specific type of leafy vegetables to achieve high yield within a short period of time. I think we can make our urban farming industry profitable when we achieve 30 by 30 targets.
As they continue to find better ways to grow our favorite greens, other NUS researchers are tapping on the power of food as medicine. Fancy a cold brew coffee infused with probiotics? A sip of probiotic sour beer? Or foods that tackle the pesky problem of food waste? Like this, the world's first sustainable wine made from soy whey. Or this cookie made from upcycled okara, otherwise known as soy pulp. These are just some examples of the functional foods created at NUS. Functional foods are foods infused with minerals, antioxidants and probiotics, created by researchers. Since 1999, the Department of Food Science and Technology, or FST, has filed over 50 patents for these new healthy foods. Researchers at FST are not the only ones using food as the new medicine. In another lab, researchers from NUS and agribusiness group Wilmar International have teamed up to develop healthier foods and ingredients.
The idea of setting up a corporate lab in NUS was first suggested by Professor Loh Teck Seng, who is the CEO of Singapore's National Research Foundation. It started about 6 years ago. So I was invited to visit, and I discovered that in NUS, there were a large number of world-class technologies as well as clinical research facilities in search of problem statements. On the other hand, in Wilmar, we have a number of challenges associated with production of foods and food ingredients, as well as to have validation of our food products with respect to health and nutrition claims. So we thought that it will be a very good partnership because we'll be able to bring the problem statements to people who have solutions.
Wilmar is Asia's leading food and oleochemical company. NUS has tremendous research capabilities, so we collaborate to solve some of the most pressing issues facing our society, namely healthy food and sustainability.
Based on research findings in the corporate lab, staff at Willet NUS are developing plant-based meat and ready-to-eat meals for individuals with specific health conditions.
It's going to get a little bit tighter.
Dr. Dan Yuk Hyung hopes to make a difference to his patients, many of whom suffer from lifestyle diseases.
How do you find the diet so far?
Coping well.
As an investigator at the lab, he is studying the effects of diet on health and well-being, particularly for people with fatty liver disease.
This is a condition that we don't understand very well, both in terms of why this happens, why it happens in some people, and how we can prevent it. To date, there is still no drugs that is officially approved for fatty liver disease, so it is primarily still through lifestyle and supportive measures. And I think in medicine, we've always had this desire to want to understand disease better so that we can treat patients better.
His research is critical.
So in Singapore, our survey shows that an estimated up to 40% of the population may have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And this rate is actually increasing alarmingly. Even among the younger population, fatty liver disease is intimately related to both diabetes, obesity, as well as all the other metabolic conditions. And so we expect a sharp rise in this condition in line with the epidemic rise in both obesity as well as diabetes.
In Dr. Dan's study, 30 patients aged 21 to 65 underwent a 6-month clinical trial. These were patients who have been diagnosed with various stages of fatty liver disease. Dr. Dan hoped to treat and reverse their liver condition through a cocktail of exercise and designer meals.
So this is specially formulated, a different menu every day. Although this was a small study, it was probably one of the most complex studies we have ever designed. Using a specially formulated oil that Wilmar was able to incorporate into a diet, we were able to compare the effects of the test oil versus a control oil in this study.
For 3 months, the patients ate only 3 meals a day. Test patients were given meals cooked with the special oil, while the control group received meals cooked with ordinary corn oil. Then for another 3 months, both groups were allowed to prepare their own meals, with the test group continuing to use the special oil, and the control group corn oil. The amount of oil was predetermined. All patients could also start doing light exercise, like walking 3 times a week.
We were then able to track these patients through a full 6 months and study the outcomes both in terms of weight, metabolic profile, as well as the liver condition.
Great care was taken to design daily meals that meet requirements, such as calorie count and nutrition.
We configured a whole array of food diets that actually was appropriate for the Asian taste buds. They had 3 different meals a day. They were able to sample the whole multi-ethnic variety of food in Singapore.
Besides variety, the meals also had to be tasty.
If the taste is not there, then consumers may eat it once or twice, and it's not sustainable. Compliance will be an issue. So we start out with the overarching aim that first, food have to be tasty. Then of course, we make it healthy and nutritious, tailored to specific patient groups.
My favorite is the cherry tomatoes, very nice.
After 6 months, their efforts are paying off.
Every meal, every day is 1,200 calories controlled. Study has been extremely promising, probably better than what we had expected. We have seen significant differences in the outcomes in terms of both liver and metabolic features. We're still trying to deep dive into the detailed results. We'll test how strong you are now. So the right side first, press as hard as you can. It does seem that there is good evidence that using healthy food-based therapy, we are able to change the course of disease and to derive tremendous healthy benefits for our patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
This study is just one of many translational research projects at will at NUS. This 4-year-old joint laboratory, which started off with 60 researchers and students, now has a staff strength of 100. It thrives because of its multidisciplinary team.
In our joint laboratory, a number of clinicians, nutritional scientists, biomedical engineers, chemical engineers, electronic engineers, synthetic biologists, and computer scientists work together and collaborate towards the same research goals and vision. We always hope to make a real-world impact on our society, our nation, and the world.
As Singapore grapples with healthcare, food security and climate change challenges, NUS aspires to offer solutions. Its researchers and innovators are working across disciplines and with industry partners to impact the lives of not just Singaporeans, but also people around the world.